Right. I would like to officially call our meeting to order this morning. I'd like to welcome everyone. And joining us this morning, we have a guest, and we want to welcome him this morning with us. And that is David Jones. And David is joining us from the Queen City Toastmasters in the Carolinas down there. And we'll come back to David in a little bit and ask him to say hello to everyone. As we continue this morning, I'd like to ask Moklis if he would offer our invocation.
Sure. Can I share a screen, please?
Yes, you may.
You have to enable me to share.
You should be enabled.
Not yet.
I see the option on mine, so I would assume everyone would have
Yeah,
it.
it's where it says share screen on the bottom, Moklis.
On mine, it's disabled on mine too.
Host has disabled it. Either you or Len has to do something.
Let's try that now.
Yes.
Oh,
You should be okay now, Moklis.
Okay. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Invocation for the summer plans. May we find peace, happiness, health, progress, and prosperity. Hope pandemic will end soon. May we enjoy the summer. May we spend quality times with family and friends. May we be generous and kind. May we take walks in the parks, near the lakes and the rivers. May we have an attitude of gratitude for family and friends. Jackie, Margo, Kate, Deborah, Tracy, Jen, Nancy, Jill, Alexis, Beth, Ishmael, Carol, Cecilia, David, Phil, Mike, Steve, Gerald, Larry, Eric, Thomas, Mark, Ryan, Len, Marty, Lawrence, Samir. Bless us all in this Toastmaster meeting. Looking to our right, looking to our left, closing our eyes for a second, praying to overcome all challenges, enjoying a good, happy summer. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Moklis. And now we will continue with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
and to the
for which it
republic
stands,
for which it stands,
one
A
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Before I, let me do this, okay. Before I turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day, I would like to, is Jackie on with us this morning? Jackie is our educational VP, and one of the things that Toastmasters has instituted since the beginning of the pandemic is for clubs that participate online and hold meetings online, they've created a couple of different incentive awards for those clubs. And I'm happy to report that AM Lockport has achieved 2 of those awards. And one of them is called the Online Ovation, which is clubs that are holding and continuing to hold virtual meetings. Oh, here comes Jackie right now, so she'll be happy to hear this. Clubs that are holding virtual meetings and continue to hold them during the pandemic earned the award. It's called the Online Ovation Award. And they have an incentive award, which is an educational award. And there's 2 different levels. There's a silver and a gold. In order to achieve the silver level, a club must have met 4 educational award goals since January. The next level above that is the gold level, which is 8. I'm happy to report that AM Lockport has achieved 9 of those. So we have achieved the gold educational award for holding online meetings. So those are 2 additional things that I'm happy to report that our club has achieved this year. Are there any announcements before we begin with our meeting this morning?
I have one announcement. I sent an email to a few of you last night who I thought may have been dual Toastmasters, but if you were a dual Toastmaster and qualified for the 2 free paths, you have to get the second path before June 30th because that expires on June 30th of this year.
I have a question with that, Jen, too, and I'll address it with you after. Because I'm a dual member, but when I joined the second club, I did not get a second path. And I went to choose the second path, and it says it's $20.
So if you read the email that I sent, you cannot do it through online. You have to send an email or call TI.
That's what I was, okay. That's what I wanted to clarify. Thank you, Jen. Are there any other announcements this morning?
Question for you, Larry.
Yes,
Election of
Margo.
officers.
That'll be, I'm going to turn that over to our immediate past president, which is Kate, which she'll be addressing. Kate, did you want to do that now or?
Sure. Thanks, Margo, and thanks, Larry. I thought I could present a slate today, but we're not quite ready. So we'll present it next week and vote the following week, although that rolls right into the officer training that weekend. If anyone is interested, as is always a challenge, filling the sergeant at arms role is difficult now because we are not certain when we're going back to Tom's and to what parameters. This has changed a bit, but if anyone is interested, that would be awesome. I think I'll chat a few folks because we had been talking. So I'll present that. Maybe I'll even present it by email so you all can see it before next Thursday's meeting. But any questions, let me know.
Is that the only role that we need to fill as Sergeant of Arms?
Pretty much. There's a couple of us who are volunteering for a couple different roles, but that's always a challenge, you know?
Definitely, definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Without further ado, I would also, let me just double check here. We have, I do believe, another guest joining us, and I just want to find. We have Elise joining us. Elise, is it Levy or Levy? Good morning, Elise. Okay.
I can't hear her, but Elise is from Queen City. She's driving to work. That's why she's not on video, and she's our immediate past president.
I think the toggling the mute button between Larry, Len, and the speaker always causes the trouble. So only one of you do it, and then stay for 3 seconds.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, Elise is traveling, so thank you, David. David, welcome once again, now that the meeting is officially open. And I will come back to you a little bit later in the meeting and see how you enjoyed our meeting. I'd like to now turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day. And if you do not have a speaking part at this point, if you would please mute yourself and then unmute when our Toastmaster calls upon you. At this time, Michael Licata, our Toastmaster, the meeting is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests this morning. Good morning, everyone. I picked this theme because I want to try to be optimistic. Doing 2 different things, and I was trying to think the other day of what, now that some restrictions have been lifted in our state, what am I looking forward to, and trying to figure out some of those plans and goals for the rest of the summer. It became difficult. So anybody has any good ideas, feel free to suggest them when called upon this morning. We will get right into it because we have a longer speech. So I will start with our word master this morning, Nancy Ferry.
Okay. The word this morning is Can you see this? Okay, yes, it's forward. Transmogrified, which is a verb to change, to transform, to transfigure, to alter greatly. And oftentimes it refers to having a humorous or grotesque kind of altering. Used in a sentence, how did an ugly frog transmogrify into a handsome prince? And my vacation plans have
Demogrified.
That's a great word.
transmogrified into very strange things. I've had to be.
Feel bad because she's still talking, but I don't know if somebody muted her.
I did
All right,
not.
I will go.
Somebody did, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Nancy.
No problem.
I'm sorry. And next, our master this morning is Margo Bittner.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, my summer will transmogrify into something very wonderful, I hope, from having no tastings to tastings in our front yard. So keep our fingers crossed that I'll keep Mike very busy this summer. As your master, I will be counting the ahs, the ums, and those pregnant pauses. I will leave the so's, ands, and run-ons to their grammarian. So I'm just listening for ahs and ums this morning. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Margo. And next, stepping into the role this morning is our grammarian. Thank you very much, is Samir.
Hi, yeah, I will be reporting on both exceptional and poor uses of grammar. Hopefully I can transmogrify any unique turns of phrase into a joke to report on at the end of the meeting. So yeah, hopefully everyone speaks well. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. And next, our quote master this morning is Kate Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. Something just a bit peaceful from Mark Twain about summertime. Saturday morning was come, and all the summer world was bright and fresh and brimming with life. There was a song in every heart, and if the heart was young, the music issued at the lips. There was a cheer in every face and a spring in every step. The locust trees were in bloom, and the fragrance of the blossoms was on the air. Cardiff Hill, beyond the village and above, it was green with vegetation, and it lay just far enough to seem a delectable land, dreamy, reposeful, and inviting. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Now, nobody volunteered for gesture this morning, so does anybody have a good joke they're willing to share this morning?
Hey, Mike, it's Eric. I got one.
Sure.
All right, I found this online, and you guys can make heads or tails of this. Ran out of toilet paper and now using lettuce leaves. Today was just the tip of the iceberg. Tomorrow remains to be seen.
Thank you, Eric. All right, next on our agenda this morning is our gesture master, one of our newer members, Beth Banks.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and Mike, our Toastmaster for the day. I will be looking for gestures during speeches and during the meeting to make sure that you are using the correct gestures and emphasizing your points. Thank you. I forgot to use the word. And I did not use the word transmogrify.
Thank you, Beth. And next, our quiz master this morning is Dave Licata.
This morning I have transmogrified into the quiz master. There will be questions at the end of the meeting pertaining to what we discussed today and what we heard. I'm urging everybody to pay close attention because your score will be going on your permanent record. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster, Mr. Michael Licata.
Thank you, Dave. And next this morning, our timer is Jen Czapla.
Hello, everyone. I will be your timer today. For our table topics, participants, speakers, and evaluators, that means you will be timed. And I suggest either making sure that you can see me on your screen or even pinning my video. And that way you will be sure that you can see the timing light today. I will be using the backgrounds, so I will transmogrify my background as we're going. When you've reached your minimum time qualification, you will see green. When you are getting close to the end, you'll see yellow. And when you see red, please stop talking. Thank you.
That's grand.
Thank you, Jen. And this morning, not to be left out, because I usually do, people tend to leave out the general evaluator, but thank you for stepping up. Larry Eggert.
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I'll be the general evaluator today. I'll be evaluating the Toastmaster as well as all the evaluators, and I'll report back at the end of the meeting. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Larry. I want to welcome another guest this morning joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina. Sean Turner is joining us as well. Welcome, Mr. Turner. Now, I don't see Carol Ann in part of the meeting this morning, so I don't know if anybody would like to do table topics. Our table topics here at AM Lockport goes 1.5 to 2 minutes. It's usually
Maybe we save those till after the speeches.
Perfect. That's
Good idea.
Yeah, the longer one.
Show up.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can do that.
So, Mike, if I can make a slight announcement.
Sure.
This is for Jen, the timer, with your permission. When you get the red light or red background, all speakers have 30 seconds to summarize, just so nobody gets nervous and abruptly stops at red. Am I right or am I wrong?
For table topics, it's only a 15-second buffer. For speakers and evaluators, it is a 30-second buffer.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we can do that.
I believe we have Carol here.
Oh, we do have Carol? Thanks for letting me know, Larry.
Still do it at the end. It's perfect. Give her a chance to situate.
Okay, that's fine. So we will roll right into our speakers this morning. Our first speaker was kind enough to volunteer. Marty Johnson is finishing up another leadership track with Toastmasters, and actually upon completing the this project, Marty will have achieved his Advanced Leader Bronze Series. Madam Timer, his time is 10 to 15 minutes, and his evaluator is Dr. Gerald Stevens.
Okay, good morning, everybody. You took some of my thunder there, Mike, but it's okay. 10 to 15 minutes. His project, his goal is to educate members about leadership skills they can use. He may transmogrify, if I pronounce that correctly, our thinking today about leadership and building a team. The title is Building the Buffalo Flyers, and to repeat the time, it's 10 to 15 minutes. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. Marty Johnson, Building the Buffalo Flyers. Marty Johnson, Building the Buffalo Flyers.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. As Michael and Gerald both mentioned, I will be giving a presentation on a module out of the Leadership Excellence series, and it's called Building a Team. I'm sure many of you have been on teams, sport teams. All of you are on a Toastmasters team. Have you ever been on a ball team or a team at work through your career? I know many of you have. This morning, I hope you can identify with some of the things that I'm going to talk about building a team. And my focus is not only something that you can relate to yourself and use in your job, but it's something that Larry McKenzie and I use when we were coaching Toastmaster Club in Buffalo. Their name is the Buffalo Flyers Sodexo Toastmasters Club. I want to start off, just many of you know there's a lot of basics about team and the benefits. One of the main benefits about a team, whether you're in a company or in a Toastmasters team, is that you can use a lot of the skills that the members have, and there's continuity, there's knowledge. You know, you say knowledge is power. You can share information. I'm looking at Len Thornton right now on the screen, and I know many of you, I could go on, every person I see has added benefit to our Toastmaster Club. When I think of Len Thornton, I think of the guru of Toastmasters as far as the scheduling, helping the VP of E, helping all the computer glitches we've ever had since I've been a member. He's always had a solution. So there's a lot of knowledge and benefits in teams, and it can translate not only to a Toastmasters Club, but in your own company or an organization you belong to. There's 7 main steps that Toastmasters International recognizes as far as building a team, and I'm going to briefly touch on them and try to relate them to what Larry and I experienced specifically with the Buffalo Flyers Toastmasters Club. The first one is organizing the team. You know, you have to start somewhere. The team was already organized when Larry and I started last year, and they were struggling a little bit. They didn't know much about the club success plan or the distinguished club program. Well, that's where Larry and I came in as club coaches, and we tried to explain to them that in order to have a club that people want to come to, if you do these things that are in the successful club does, and follow these little steps, step by step, you're eventually going to get there. And that's exactly what happened. And I'll explain a little of that towards the end of the presentation. So the first thing would be organizing the team. As I said, there's a lot of knowledge base in teams. So we tried to figure out who was going to be, you know, what officer roles were available, who needed help. And you want people in your club or your members, specifically your officers, that are going to have energy, they want to do the work. And something we did recently, we had for the new election of officers, we're having assistants for the officers so they can learn and become knowledgeable. Excuse me. And hopefully they'll pick up the role next year as an officer. And definitely working together and be cohesive as a team. Another thing about building a team, you want to have a review of goals periodically. And Larry and I did that. We looked at some of you are familiar with what's called the Distinguished Club Reports. It's on the international website. It's called Club Recognition. There's different areas that you can look, but the one that Larry and I were focusing on specifically was the Distinguished Club Program, and that's under Distinguished Club Reports. That was our main focus this past year, and we tried to lay the groundwork and little step by step explain to the members what they needed to do to get from here to become a distinguished club. There's specific things. For example, one of the things was an educational goal, and many of you are familiar because you're members of a thriving AM Lockport club. One of the things that they did achieve was their pathway level 1. That was an educational goal, an educational award that some of the members achieved. And we reviewed those goals and we looked to say, okay, on paper, Larry and I were continuously emailing and texting each other. Okay, this week they have this goal. This week they have this. So we were continually monitoring what they were doing and trying to guide the members to give speeches so they can gain experience and build up on this distinguished club program and achieve their educational awards. one of the third steps in building the team is establishing rules and responsibilities, procedures. I know it may sound mundane, establishing rules and procedures, but all successful companies and organizations like Toastmasters have rules and procedures that need to be followed. And there needs to be agreement among the members. Otherwise, they're never going to get from here to there. So we had to come up with an agreement on what we wanted to do. And all the members became essentially stakeholders in the plan, which leads to one of the fourth steps in building a team is developing a plan. And as I mentioned, Larry and I already knew that we wanted the club to become distinguished, because that's the purpose of Larry and I being a coach, to help guide the club to become distinguished club, to take the steps they needed to do to become strong and achieve the goals to become a distinguished club. Developing a plan, and it worked out quite well. We looked, if any of you aren't familiar, I can give you a very brief scenario. According to Toastmasters International, at the end of each year, International looks at the club and they take a snapshot of the club's performance, and it's based on the base of membership of June 30th at the end of each Toastmaster year. The Buffalo Flyers had a base last year on June 30th of 9 members. And Toastmasters International always wants clubs to grow so members can benefit and achieve their goals. With the Buffalo Flyers and other clubs, they need a net gain each year of 5 new members or 20 members. 20 members or a net gain of 5 each year. And Larry and I thought that was a task that was attainable, a goal that was attainable. And the members agreed, and they believed also. So to date, right now, the Buffalo Flyers, they're required to have 14 members, because 9 plus 5, I'm not a mathematician, but I can figure it out. It's 14, right? 14. 9 plus 5 is 14. So to date, they have 14 members, and their goal is to have 14 members. So we're right on the border. But if any of you know me or you know Larry, we aren't satisfied with just a standard. We want to go over and above, because after all, we are part of AM Lockport. And AM Lockport is not only worth getting up for, but AM Lockport strives for excellence in what we do. And I'm proud to say that I'm a member of AM Lockport, as I'm sure Larry is. Okay, so the club, we developed the plan for them to reach distinguished. So the next thing, the fifth step in building the team and or the club, is assigning these roles and responsibilities. And to basically touch briefly on this, what we needed to do is have the members of the team become more involved. And Larry can tell you that it was frustrating in the beginning, and periodically it still is. The members aren't as lucky as AM Lockport fellow members to have structure, to have a schedule each week. Will be mornings, they meet the second Tuesday of each month. And there have been many mornings where the agenda is sent out the morning of the meeting, looking for speakers, looking for evaluators. You would hope you have a lucky day that day and you have your lucky penny in your pocket, that you just happen to have a hip pocket speech that you can successfully give. But Larry and I tried to take the team and move them away from that, and we're trying to plan ahead and I've given presentations, as has Larry, to try to encourage and inspire the members to get out of their comfort zone and to take that next step to be responsible, be more responsible, get their money's worth out of their club membership. The sixth step that TI recognizes as in building a team is to establish measurements. As I mentioned, the measurement that Larry and I used for the club and the members used was the Distinguished Performance Reports on the TI website. And that's a handy tool. I find myself, now that I'm involved with Larry and coaching, checking it more often than I would in the past. because it, as I said, it gives you a breakdown of where the club is at any particular time. So established measurements, many of you know there are, for goals, you want the goal to be measurable, attainable, and to be attainable, it was within the Toastmaster year, which ends actually at the end of this month, June 30th. And the Buffalo Flyers used that report. And Larry and I would check the reports at least a couple times a month and report to the club, as would some of the club officers. So they knew what the measurements were, but they're a younger club, so we're not trying to pressure them. We're just trying to guide them at this point. And they're following our lead at this point, which is a great feeling. Excuse me. And then we discussed the standards, what the standards and the points mean in the Distinguished Club program. So the members know, and we're educating them what these standards in the Distinguished Club, what the points are and how it works. So they're understanding more and more. And I can proudly say at the end of this month, the club will be distinguished, and there's a chance they could be select distinguished. The seventh and final step TI recognizes in building a team is trust. Many of you know about trust with AM Lockport. The members trust each other to fulfill meeting roles. And we're very fortunate to have the members that we do, younger members and seasoned members. We're learning from all our members. That's one of the things that I like about Toastmasters. So Toastmasters International, like making some notes, and towards the end it was talking about trust, and they said that trust grows when members are truthful. You want to be truthful. If you can't do the project, you can't do the project, we'll try to get someone else to help you and or mentor you. Or we could have a substitute or someone assist you with the project. And when members are seen as equals, trust also increases. Larry and I try to blend in with the club. Actually, we became members a couple months ago, and we are members. Not only are we leaders and coaches of the club, but we're actually members of the Buffalo Flyers. So that helped build trust among the members. And I believe the members are becoming more and more comfortable. Comfort is something else that builds trust. And Larry and I have tried to instill that in the members, being comfortable with one another. We've actually been fortunate to have Larry to host the Zoom meetings for us, and it's been very, very beneficial. With that being said, not only did prestigious AM Lockport win that continuity award, but the Flyers are up for that award too, because they've offered Zoom meetings during COVID. And we also might qualify for the membership award, which is having having no net loss of membership during the course of this Toastmaster year. So I'm very proud to be a representative of Buffalo Flyers in that regard. So trust is definitely important in building a team. One of the last points in the module is it talks about empowerment and how it's important to give authority and leadership skills that members have and know. Empower them to make decisions. Empower them to do what they need to do to reach their goals. One of the main things I learned from Buffalo Flyers and with Larry is to work with what we have, try to improve, try to stay on task with the club, have purposeful meetings, and last and finally, to foster communication with them and let them know that we're not only leaders, we're members. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Marty. Our next speaker this morning is Thomas Heldwine. He is working on the Visionary Communications Project, and his evaluator this morning is Jackie Kenny.
Good morning, and I'm very pleased to be evaluating Thomas this morning because I was part of the team that he met with to discuss his plans for this project and going forward in this path. His speech today is going to be about the lessons he's learned while he's been moving forward in this project. And I think he's going to be very entertaining in his next few speeches. He's got a lot on his plate. He wants to perform on camera, so that's something to look forward to. Today, he's going to fit it into a 5 to 7 minute speech, Madam Timer, sorry. And I'm sure you have his title, Mr. Toastmaster.
Yes, I do. Thomas Heldwine, it's showtime. Thomas Heldwine, it's showtime.
You're muted.
Restart time. Good morning, everybody. It's been over a year since I started my vision as a creative person and hopefully budding comedian to create something funny and share that with everyone else. To express my vision this morning, I'm going to be going over how I got to this point, a lot of things that has happened, and sharing my vision with you. And hopefully this is very entertaining and you enjoy it. So with that, I'm going to hand it over first to Professor Hubris. Please come on. Well, it seems I do not have my notes with me, but I can say that the first thing we want to talk about is Robert Frost's poem, The Road Less Traveled. On that poem, you have a road everyone takes and a road not many take. Thanks to my good friends at AM Lockport and Toastmasters, they've given me the tools to implement and go forward with my vision. However, there are problems. We have a vision, but we had goals. And some of those goals weren't always achieved. Well, what happened there? Well, it had to do with tasks. And tasks are grouped under each goal. The ones that we did achieve were going to Lockport Cable Television and taking our 2 courses on using the camera and proper procedures for downloading all the materials, and then another class on editing this material. Hopefully, with the end of the pandemic, I'll have access to those tools. But for now, I don't, which is good, because one of my friends and fellow main characters has not been living up to what he's supposed to be doing. His name's Tom, and people used to call him Spaceman, or Space for short, which is what I believe is in between his ears. You know, they're just messing with me because, all right, so I'm in college and I like to maybe drink a few too many, and I put things off and I don't get them done, and I don't write stuff down. But why is that my fault? I can't really be held accountable. I procrastinate, yeah, but I get it done last minute. Could it be done better? I don't know. Maybe I need some motivation. But for that, I would need some sort of, I don't know, motivational speaker. Rather than laying all these problems on me, why doesn't he take responsibility for that kind of stuff? We have anybody? Oh, we do. doing. You're going to get going on these tests, and you're going to complete all of them right now. So one of the first tasks we needed to do was download SpotCut and learn how to do that. We made sure we did that. We need to get all of these costumes in order. You know, costume changes for real are going to take 10 minutes. So it doesn't make any sense to film and waste all that time going back and forth if we're going to be jumping from person to person. So every episode is going to have to be shot with little tiny pieces, all broken up ahead of time. And then you give your little piece, and it can't be like this, one long extended cut. It's going to be a lot of interactions. So we need to get that under control. We need to know our entire costumes. Well, I need a shirt. This thing is too wussy for me. Also, one of the major problems is having time to do all the editing. The editing has been a problem since day one. It takes a lot of time. And one of the things I want to make sure that these people do is stay on schedule and plan the proper amount of time. Space, he is a mess. And he's causing all kinds of emotional angst. And to talk about my emotional angst, I want you to look at this, what has happened to my other personality, little Tommy. Tommy, come here. No, come on. Come here, Tommy. Come here. Good morning. I'm afraid that everyone's not going to like what I do, and they're not going to love me. I don't want it. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. I'm not sure I can do it. I will be your confidence. You don't need to worry. But there's so much stress. Dude, I'll totally take care of your stress. Okay. I guess I have everything I need. Hopefully, my vision will come true. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Thomas. Our next speaker this morning was gracious enough to step up and volunteer to speak this week. He's speaking out of the Pathway Level 2 project, Understanding Communication Style, and his evaluator this morning is Len Thornton.
Good morning, Toastmasters. It's my pleasure to evaluate Phil Russell. He's transmogrifying himself today from the old award system into the new pathways and boldly going where many of us fear to tread. I first learned of the word transmogrified, by the way, in Calvin and Hobbes. There was actually, it featured prominently in the comic strip, there was a transmogrifier where Calvin would go into and he would come out as somebody different. So this is not my first use of the word here. Phil today will be speaking from level 2. The theme of this project is understanding your communication style. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech, the purpose of which is to learn different communication styles and identify his primary style, and to share the impact of his style with others. I trust you have his title, Mr. Toastmaster.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Len. Phil Russell, something is missing. Phil Russell, something is missing.
Something's missing? Something is missing? I told you the story, and you keep saying something is missing. Oh, I left out that part. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. My communication style number 1 is initiation. I got a 5 on that, the highest one you can get. That means I'm enthusiastic, I'm spontaneous, and I'm fun-loving. Relationships are very important to me. Now, let me tell you a little story about my family. Growing up, I have 4 sisters, and we would always complete each other's stories. We would fill in the missing parts. Now, when you're very familiar with that, it's easy, but it becomes problematic with people who haven't known you for that long. If you know me for a short time, or you've known me for a while, people call it Russell speak. We leave parts out. My second style, which I got a 4 in, is supportive. I try to stay calm. That's a hard thing for me. And I like to take a steady approach to things. I take time to make some decisions. In meetings such as Toastmasters and business meetings, I try to lend my experience. When I see something I have done or experienced, I let them know what my ideas are. Then, once you've had it, you've thought about it, I've given you my idea, what happens is I let you make your own decision. Right now, I'm working on transmogrifying to pathways, which is not the easiest thing in the world. My third style, analytical, getting a 3. I like facts, and I like figures and things. I think they like to think things through. Now, a week or 2 ago, Tracy did her speech. It was on a similar path, similar structure to my speech coming up. I observed it, and it was very helpful to me. I have been a little bit apprehensive about doing a Zoom speech. I've tried the other parts. I've taken roles. I've done table topics, things like that. But in watching Tracy, what happened was I saw how she did it. She used gestures, very smooth. She also had great facial expressions in expressing her speech. As I said, I was very apprehensive about getting into this Zoom speech on pathways, because pathways to me is a little bit foreign. I went through a traditional style. But thank you, Tracy, very much. I appreciate it. The 4th style is very direct. Get to the point. Don't repeat yourself. Now, with me repeating myself, that's problematic because I'm a trained teacher and you have to repeat yourself to get your point across to children or people that you're teaching. So I do get to the point, though, when I must. I'll tell you when I did get to the point. You see, I coached football and track for 20 years. And you must think fast. You must think on your feet. You have to make a decision, and you have to make it right on the spot. The great thing about athletics, in making a decision, you find out right away if you made the correct decision or not. The results will tell. Now, when you hear me tell a story and something is missing, fill it out on your own. Or just ask Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Phil. I just want to remind everyone that if they'd like to share their thoughts with each individual speaker, you can do so with the chat feature through Zoom. It's one of the more direct ways that each speaker can get feedback. Now I will call on our timer, Miss Jen Czapla, to see how everyone did time-wise.
Yes, all of our speakers did qualify. They noticed the transmogrification of the background. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And now we can vote for either Marty, Thomas, or Phil. We'll roll right into our evaluations again this morning. Our first evaluator evaluating Marty Johnson is Dr. Gerald Stevens. Dr. Stevens.
The vote came up. I had to clear it out. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters again. I was honored today to evaluate Marty, a fellow DTM, and I was excited to hear about his experience in leadership. Overall, it provided us valuable information on how to build a team. At this time, I think it's pretty apropos what is going on with the Toastmasters itself this time of year. Everybody is putting in their officer slates. They are trying to get people to step up for roles, maybe twisting an arm or two, encouraging, and that is important to transmogrify our leadership skills for sure. Marty provided a number of tips for us today on how to build a team. That can be a difficult thing. Buffalo Flyers, I know just from hearing from other Toastmasters over the years, has been a difficult group to encourage and build and to get them to do things maybe the right way. So Larry and Marty did a good job, I think, in getting them organized for sure. He talked about a lot of things that he did to promote. So he promoted positives. A positive environment is huge in building a group. Who wants to go somewhere there, especially a volunteer thing, where it's not fun, it's not positive? You go there and it's like, oh, I don't know why I'm here. You're not going to get them to stick around. So that was huge that he pointed that out. His group, he educated with the standards of Toastmaster, Distinguished Club Program. So he did presentations there. So he educated the group. He had them goal set. That's important as well. Their goal was to get 14 members. Okay, so for AM Lockport, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, we got 44. But, you know, for them, 14 is important. So goals are different for different groups. And if that's what they want, that's okay. He did recommend that they overachieve as well. So I like that. So with Toastmasters, we have to recommend improvements, certainly. And Marty had a few things here I thought he could have done a little bit better. A little more vocal variety. When he talked about achieving the Distinguished Club status, could have got a little excited about that, maybe increase his vocal variety a little bit. At the end, he could have had a call to action where people could be encouraged to coach other clubs to improve Toastmasters. I thought that might have been a good thing to do. And I would like to have seen an anecdote of struggle in regards to leadership, because everybody who's coached a club knows there are struggles in regards to getting people to do things sometimes, especially with a volunteer group. Overall, I like the fact that he put organization into the organization with standard operating procedures. Important thing to do. He realized that the stakeholders were the members, so that's good. He encouraged, he built trust to get buy-in, and he empowered. Positive to increase organization for the organization in regards to getting the meetings organized. Overall, a good job. Thanks for sharing your experience, and hopefully other Toastmasters will take up the charge. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. Our next evaluator this morning, evaluating Thomas Heldwine, is Miss Jackie Kenny.
Thank you. I haven't been a miss in a long time. I was so excited to see what Thomas would do with this project today. And I feel he succeeded. He transmogrified himself into several different characters right in front of our eyes. We saw the professor, and he used a great word play, and it was a double word play. I'm not sure he realized that. Professor Hugh Briss. He was the scary DI. He was the frightened little guy who needed to be coaxed and given a comfort toy. It's very difficult, I feel, to be funny. And it takes a lot, because you're putting yourself out there to fail. We do that in every speech, but I think when you're attempting to be humorous, it's a little more difficult to push yourself to do what it takes to present a humorous speech. You held our attention, Thomas. You changed characters. It was a bold choice. I think perhaps you needed smoother transitions between your characters to bring them forward a little bit more cleanly from one to the next. And also a better way to hand everything back to the Toastmaster of the day when you wrapped things up. But I saw laughter. I saw smiles on faces. I kept switching from the speaker view to the gallery view so I could see everyone's reactions. That's one of the hard parts of a Zoom presentation, to get the feedback that you need from an audience. And I think you did an excellent job today. I'm looking forward to part 2 of this and where you go from here. You've learned lessons and you've shared them with us, and I thank you for that, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jackie. Our next evaluator this morning, evaluating Phil Russell, is Len Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests, and especially Phil. Phil, congratulations. You've transmogrified yourself into the Pathways program. An excellent job. You fulfilled all your requirements for this project, and I'll detail the things you did the best here. Your style was, you depicted all the different styles here, and you evaluated which one is yours, who you are, what you present. Start off very strong opening, talking about things that are important to you in your presentation style. Talked about your initiation, your supportive style, your analytical. You analyzed all those. One thing we come to expect from you, Phil, and it's a wonderful thing, you speak slowly and carefully and clearly. Everybody can understand every word you're saying, and that's a beautiful skill to have that you've developed. Your vocal variety was great. Your gestures, even though you were sitting down, we saw the hands come up and creep in for impassioned thoughts there. Gestures were good. Audience awareness, everybody was paying attention. You had us there. One thing I noticed, and we're all guilty of this to some extent, we tend to look at the screen when we're talking. We need to focus on looking at the camera, because that's where our eyes go. And when you're looking down, you're not making eye contact. Making eye contact on Zoom requires you to look at the center of the camera. And that's something I know we're all struggling a little bit with, but work on that. Also, as an experienced Toastmaster, we've seen you give so many hip pocket speeches, so many off-the-cuff impromptu speeches where you had no notes whatsoever. In the beginning of your speech particularly, you were looking down a lot. And I think at this level, you could just have a few keywords. Grab that keyword, look up into the camera, and then just run with it for a couple minutes, because you know the content. You always know what you're speaking about. Going along with the evaluation form, things you excelled at, as I said, the pace, the clarity, the vocal variety, very well organized. Things to work on. Maybe a punchier ending, something that really drives home your point that something is missing at the end. Again, more humor. I always love humor in a speech. We know you have that tool. Pull that out a little bit more. And to challenge yourself, maybe stand up so that your gestures are even more emphatic when we see you speak. And and it's more akin to what we're accustomed to when we're back at Tom's Diner. It's a little bit tougher aiming the camera, getting the room and your studio set up for Zoom, but I think we should all strive to stand up while we're speaking. And again, lose your notes. But a wonderful job. You fulfilled the requirements. Welcome to Pathways, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Len. Madam Timer, how did our evaluators do this morning?
Yes, our evaluators also qualified, and I will give you a full report for speakers and evaluators. I didn't give the times before. Marty came in at 14:55 for his 10 to 15 minute speech. Thomas is 6:20 and Phil at 5:17 for both 5 to 7 minutes. And for our evaluators, 2 to 3 minutes is the requirement. Gerald came in with the buffer at 3:18, Jackie at 2:20, and Len at, I can't read my writing, but I think it was 2:58. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Okay, so this morning our Toastmasters meeting transmogrified into something different. So now we will kind of reverse back and introduce Carol Ann Halstead this morning. She will run our table topics meeting. Again, for our guests, our table topics run from 1.5 to 2 minutes this morning, and to qualify for voting, you must use the word of the day as well. So now I will hand over our meeting to Carol Ann Halstead, our table topics master.
Good morning. For me, the month of June is special because that was the month that I met my husband, Dan. Our daughter, Tara, got married in June, and we saw our 3 daughters and 2 of our grandchildren graduate in the month of June. I'd like to know, Mark Campus, is there a special month for you?
Well, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. Good morning. I didn't think I was going to skate this morning. For the last few weeks, we've had at least 2 pages of participants, but today with just 1, I knew I was going to be a target for table topics. So let's see.
Are we gonna unmute Mark? Sorry, I don't know what happened, guys, but
Did you get any of that?
the beginning.
I got to do it again?
Yeah, start over. I'll restart your time. I don't know.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. Good morning. Once again, I didn't think I would skate on table topics because we have far less participants than we've been getting the last few weeks. So let's talk about months. You mentioned the month of June. I am certainly hoping that the month of June will move up significantly in the pecking order of months for me, given that hopefully we are transmogrifying into some semblance of normalcy in a post-COVID world. Well, I guess we're still in a COVID world, but you get the point. We're trying to get back to normalcy here. Getting back to maybe going out to eat and enjoying the things that we do, you know, stating the incredibly obvious, we only get so many months of good weather here in Western New York. So as I like to tell people from outside the area, we want to be out until we can't be out anymore. So here's to hoping that things continue to progress along the right track. You know, for us, we're lucky enough, we have a cottage down at Sunset Bay. We've been going down there every weekend. It's been a little difficult. You know, we haven't had some of the amenities available to us that we normally do, things like the bar and the beach club and things like that. But I guess you could say those are sort of first world problems, if you will. Other months I think I'm particularly fond of, though. I like the fall. I mentioned that before. Months like October, just because of the change in weather. being a sports fan such as I am, October is just the best month there is. You've got the World Series and baseball playoffs, you've got football, and then hockey season starts. And by the way, I miss sports so much. I am so desperate to watch any kind of sports event. Bowling would suffice right now. So give me some competitive live sports to watch and I'll be a happy camper. Madam Table Topics Master.
This summer, I am missing quite a few of our regular activities, like going to Alcott for the concerts and enjoying riding the carousel at Carousel Park down there. I wonder, Joe Budnick, is there something that you usually do in the summer months that the virus is kind of preventing you from doing?
Thank you. Not anything in particular, but just the fact that you get to go places and dry places and go in stores and that sort of thing and not have to wear protective gear around your face. I miss having to do, not having to do that sort of thing. And sometimes during the summer months, I like to go down to the beach or go to Carl Park and that sort of thing. And I don't feel safe doing that right now with this whole Corona business going on. But I suppose it is safe if you keep a distance. But I have been out of work for a while. My place of employment, the Summit Center, has been shut down because it's at school. So I'm still waiting to see when I'm going to be going back. And I'm looking forward to it when we finally do, because I enjoy working with the kids there and I like the people that I work with. So I wish everybody a good summer, and everybody please stay safe, and look forward to seeing everyone again when this whole business is finally over with and it's finally safe. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The summer months now, I know my husband has just planted a large garden for produce. And I was wondering, Margo, what type of produce do you like the most to prepare and to eat?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Now, here's something fun to know. Our biggest crop on our farm is, first of all, is apples, but second of all is cherries. I hate cherries. If I could transmogrify cherries into anything, I would. Now, the real fun part of that for me is that I make 5 cherry wines. I can't stand tasting any of them. I have to make other people do that. But my favorite fruit is apricots. We planted apricots a few years ago. My husband planted a huge orchard. And the first year we got fruit, when the trees were 2 years old, we got a whole bushel of apricots. I was so excited. I was getting apricots, and my husband put the basket on his desk at lunchtime to bring it home to me that night. And guess how many apricots I got? Zilch. Everybody else loved apricots, but ever since then, he has made sure I get a basket of the first apricots he's picked. We have a number of different apples that we grow: Snapdragon, Ruby Frost. Anybody know Honeycrisp? Anybody like Honeycrisp? I hate them. There's something in the skin that actually gives me an allergic reaction. So here I am on a fruit farm, waiting for my husband to bring home fruit, telling me about this great apple, and I can't even eat it. The other fruits we grow on our farm, of course, are plums, peaches, and like the shoemaker's children, the only way I get my fruit is to go out to the orchard and pick it, or go up to the storage myself. Madam's Table Topics Master.
Thank you, participants. Back to you, Dave, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol Ann. I will first go to Nancy for our word report for our table topics participants.
Yes, Mark and Margo both use the word.
Okay. And Madam Timer, how did they do on time this morning?
Well, I have the same report. Mark came in at 157 and Margo also qualified at 145. Unfortunately, Joe did not qualify. I think he's a little rusty, so we got to get him back on here a little more often. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And now I will introduce our general evaluator this morning, Larry Eggert.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am the general evaluator today. It's been a while since I've done this, so I might also be a little rusty. I noticed in the video, I don't know what you guys think of your own picture, but I know someone talked about transmogrifying from a frog into a prince. Well, as I look at my picture, I see that I transmogrify from a prince into a frog whenever I'm on video. I look like I'm 90 years old, oh my God, even with this fancy haircut. Anyway, overall, I thought it was a really good meeting. Mike did a great job. I liked the way he prepared the meeting. He was out front of this. I think last week he got out his first message, so he filled the slots very well. He also did a really good job of filling the roles today. There were a few glitches that he rolled over pretty well. I like the way that you adapted when the table topics master was a little late getting on, that you just rolled right into the speeches. I thought that was very smooth. I liked the fact that you are well dressed today. I noticed you have a collared shirt on, which is nice. I also like the background. I think it's important when you do Zoom, you have the correct background, and I think you have a really good, plain isn't the right word, but I guess just nondescript background. I think if you have too much of a background, it takes away from you, and I think you did well with that. Things that we would never think of normally in normal times when we're at Tom's Diner, but again, things that are now important when we do these meetings. And overall, I thought it was a really good meeting. I thought you ran it well. I thought you were well spoken. You went through the roles very well. So great job with that. For the evaluators, first evaluator, Dr. Stevens. It's difficult sometimes, at least from my perspective, to do a DTM to DTM evaluation. I don't know if you get a little nervous about evaluating another DTM or what, but I think Dr. Stevens did a great job with that. Outlined the highlights of the speech, and I think it was important that you went over those highlights again because it was a long speech, and I thought you did well by just kind of narrowing the speech down to just some of the highlights, and you used the sandwich approach, which was very well done. Evaluator 2, Jackie Kenny, also did a great job. By the way, all evaluators did use the word of the day, transmogrify. Jackie, I agree with you 100% when you talk about how hard it is to be funny, because if you bomb it, you bomb it. And I think we've all been through that. I still remember one of mine where I made a joke at a speech and it was crickets. So I can fully understand how difficult it is to be funny. And I think Tom did a great job with that. And I think you did a great job evaluating how he did that. Len Thornton always does a great job with his evaluations. Again, use the word of the day. Started out with a congratulations, which I think is important. If you're going to evaluate somebody, it's always really good to start on a very positive note. And Len did that as well. Also added some personal observations, smooth delivery by Phil, which it was. And I'm guilty of it right now, Len, just so you know. I'm looking at the screen. I'm not looking at the camera. So I'm trying to consciously take what you said in stride and trying to do better with that myself. The only thing with Len, if I could just offer a suggestion, is as you spoke, you had some papers in front of you when I could hear the rustling of the papers, which, I mean, I'm getting nitpicky here, but it's something that just kind of stuck in my head as you talk. It kind of took away a little bit from an otherwise great evaluation. So anyway, I think everybody did a great job today. I think the evaluators did a great job. I think the Toastmasters did a great job, and overall, great meeting. I was happy to be here. Do you want me to call for the jobs, Mr. Toastmaster?
I can do that, Larry. Thank you, because I have the agenda in front of me and printed out a copy, so I think that makes things go a little bit smoother.
It's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And our first report this morning, we will go to our gesture master this morning, Beth Banks. How do we do on our gestures?
There we go. I think most people did really well with gesturing this morning. We're all getting used to this Zoom, and it's a little bit difficult at times. Marty, I loved that you stood up, good hand gestures. One thing to notice, you might want to watch the recording. Sometimes you were using your hands like a lot, so maybe just tamp that down a little, use it for specific things to make your point a little bit more. Thomas, I loved all the characters and the changes. When you came to the inspirational speaker, you got right up to the camera, your face in the camera. That was not only very effective, it was hilarious. So I really liked that you were transmogrifying yourself into the different characters. That was really good. Phil Russell, left out that part. That was my favorite there. I will agree with Len that there were times when your eyes were down that it seemed like you were reading. So maybe we all need to work on that. I just did it myself. So one thing I would suggest, Phil, for you is to just step back from the camera a little bit, because you were pretty close and it was hard to see other gestures besides your facial expressions and a few times. So that is good. I did want to add, my transmogrifying this summer is rehabbing our deck, which Katie's fiance is helping me with. And so my summer plans will be using that deck once it is finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And next we will go to our owl master this morning, Margo Bittner.
Good morning, everyone. 8 people had Oz. Joe, my friend, I'm hoping you join us a little bit more. And Beth, you did have more than 5. Everybody else had 1, 2. A couple people had a very interesting So that's my report for this morning. Nice and short. I guess I scared you at the beginning of the meeting, didn't I, Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you, Margo. And next I'll go to our grammarian this morning, Samir. How did our use of the English language go?
Yeah, our use of the English language today was pretty good. Marty had a slight mix-up and some word repetition, a few I's instead of Us, a you know, a so. Gerald had a so. Thomas had a you know. Jackie had a misplaced article. Phil Russell had a good turn of phrase using the term facts and figures. He said, I like facts and I like figures. I feel like there's a joke there, but maybe next time. Len did very well as always. One thing I noticed was a lot of people said transmogrify instead of transmogrify. I don't know if it bothered anyone else, but it's one of those wash type things. Mark had a you know. Margo was good. Joe was good. Larry Eggert had one misplaced I. I think Margo kind of touched on that. Some people seem to be using a repetition of I instead of an or an But other than that, it was really good. Those are all kind of singular things. Everyone had a good flow and seemed to be speaking well. Thanks.
Thank you, Samir. And next up is our quiz master this morning is Dave Licata.
Thank you very much, Michael Licata. I am the quiz master, and here's your quiz. Who did Katie quote?
Mark Twain.
Very good. Larry and Marty assisted what club?
Flyers.
Buffalo Flyers.
Buffalo Flyers.
Tom gave this name to his professor.
Hubris.
Lenny mentioned what Sunday funny?
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes. Good.
Hey, how many sisters did Phil have?
4.
Carol likes June. Why?
She met her husband.
Very good.
Graduation and romance.
This is a self-serving question. Mark's cottage is where?
Sunset Bay.
I love Sunset Bay, Mark.
Oh, do you, David?
I think you wanted an invitation.
July.
It's fishing for an invite.
Swim down there.
We all do.
We're really easy to find. We're on Iola Drive, usually sitting on the front deck, about a block from the beach. Anyone is welcome to join us.
God bless you.
Sign up for the first 10.
It's a little dull though. It's kind of tough to have fun there. So.
And our final question. Margo is not fond of this fruit.
Cherries. And allergic to honey.
That's it from your Quizmaster. You did a great job.
Thank you, Dave. And finally this morning, I will ask Nancy, how did our word transmogrify do this morning?
Well, you just added one to it. So, some form of the word transmogrify was used 23 times. I was excited that it carried all the way from the beginning right through all of the reports. That's my report.
Thank you, Nancy. And before I hand it over to our president, I just want to offer a toast to everyone. I hope that with everything going on in the world that we're able to enjoy these summer months, and that hopefully, I know a lot of plans have transmogrified, but we can still try to accomplish the little things and kind of enjoy our experiences this summer as we continue this wonderful year of 2020. So cheers to that. Hear, hear.
Sure.
And now I will turn it over to our president, Larry McKenzie.
Thank you, Mike Licata. I want to commend Mike Licata this morning, our Toastmaster, for conducting a brilliant meeting today. We had a long speech, 2 other speeches. We also did table topics, all of our reports, and we still have 6 minutes to spare. Great job, Michael, with moving the meeting along. We commend you on that. We also have an officer role available if you are interested, so feel free to jump forward and let Kate know that you would be happy to help out with that. Speaking of which, June 27th, we have our training for our new incoming officers for next year. Before I give my quick report, I would like to welcome our guests once again and ask them how they enjoyed our meeting. So please welcome David from the Carolinas, from Queen City. David, would you like to tell us how you enjoyed our meeting today? And thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me again. And I did enjoy it. It's always good to get refreshers and see what other clubs do. And today, Mike reminded me, and I'm guilty of not doing it, is to encourage people to use the instant chat to tell the speakers how they're doing. And I keep forgetting that. So he just reminded me that next time I'm up to do that. So I appreciate the refresher and being part of the club here.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I see that Elise is still with us. Is she able to speak, or is she still traveling? If Elise is
maybe, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Great. Hey, thank you guys for having me. Great meeting. I really, actually really enjoyed your toast at the end. That's not something that I had seen before. I think that's something that we could potentially, David, bring back to Queen City as a nice way to kind of wrap up a meeting and tie everybody together. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Elise. You're always welcome. Now, for my quick report, I have 3 or 4 things that I would like to let everybody know. First of all, we will be doing a happy hour this evening, and that will begin at 7 p.m. if anyone would like to join in on that social hour. I did post it in the chat. I will also be uploading today's meeting to our YouTube channel later this morning. And without further ado, we have 3 ribbon winners this morning. One is for best beard. Oh, no, that wasn't one of them. Oh, no, well, we should, though. Len is doing okay. I'm catching up to Phil with this is my COVID beard. Oh, you got rid of yours. Oh, okay. All right, let's do it. All right, table topics. Our table topic winner this morning, drum roll, please. And the winner will receive 10 pounds of cherries. Margo is our table topics winner. Oh, we won't send the cherries. All right. Our top evaluator this morning, Len Thornton. Len, top evaluator. Congratulations, Len. And with the speaker honors, top speaker ribbon winner today, the one, the only, Phil Russell. Phil Russell is our winner with our top speaker award this morning. So congratulations, Phil. We transmogrify next week into a new Toastmaster, which will be Jen Czapla. Jen will be our Toastmaster, and Jen will be letting us know what her topic for the week will be. With her next week, she has 3 speakers on the agenda: Marty, Beth, and Gerald. Please check the agenda to let her know what your speech titles are, and check in with your evaluators, which are also on our agenda. Make sure that they have your reports and things ready for next week also. One last quick announcement is that we're coming into the close of the Toastmasters year. And Jackie will agree with me that if you have an educational award that you're working under the legacy program, and you need to get something in, whether it be a speech or something, one of your goals prior to the end of the month, you have to do that within the next 2 weeks. Because at the end of that period, if you've not attained your ACS and your ALB, then you'll lose whatever you have within that. So if there is something that you need to accomplish or finish, check with Jackie or myself, and we'll be happy to help you work out that even tonight during our social hour. If you wanted to join in, if you have a speech that you had to get done, be happy to do that. As long as we have another Toastmaster in attendance, we could be an evaluator for you. Are there any announcements within the club that anyone has for the club before we adjourn our meeting this morning? I guess not. Okay, Jackie, you jumped on a little bit late. I just want to let everybody know, and Jackie, we have earned the Educational Award for online through Toastmasters. It's a new award they've presented for clubs that are holding online meetings, and we've earned the Online Ovation and the Online Educational Award Gold because we've achieved 9 different educational awards since January within that.
Well, of course we did.
So congratulations to everyone in the club and to our educational VP, Jackie, for leading us through that. With no other congratulations, everyone. Yes. With no other announcements, I want to thank our guests once again for joining us. It's always worth getting up for AM Lockport Toastmasters. This meeting is adjourned, but we will be staying on for post Toasties if you wanted to do a little social right after the meeting is called to the end. But right now the meeting is adjourned. Thank everyone for joining us. Remember, Jen Czapla next week will be our Toastmaster of the day.